If you're a complete beginner to either fighting games or just to 2xKO, I want to have a discussion with you, basically breaking down if you should get into the game. I'm sure plenty of people would just say, it's free, try it. But I feel like that's not how it works, specifically for people that are more new to the genre. I also don't want to just tell you yes outright, because that would be pretty obvious since I'm a 2xKO channel. Of course I'm going to want more people playing my main game. What I want to do today is mostly logically dive into the reasons why you would and would not potentially want to get into this game if you're new. Let's start off with the reason why you should and shouldn't get into 2xKO. It comes down to how you as the viewer perceive what I'm about to say. This first point is about long-term support. Riot, the creators of League of Legends, Valorant, etc., are a pretty flammable company, but if they do one thing right, it's making a successful game and supporting it long-term. Even one of their more dying games, like the card game, still has people working on it and updating the project, despite some flaws. Something you should know is that a large amount of people working on 2xKO were laid off back at launch. Thing is, there's still plenty of passionate people working on the game, and they've given the roadmap for 2026, and it looks amazing. Unfortunately, when you look deeper, the layoffs make business sense, but still suck. This game is pretty popular for a fighting game, but clearly to Riot, the game did not reach the massive genre-defining popularity they were looking for. This means a lot of the team had to go so that a smaller team could be financially viable and present to keep the game running long term. And so far there's no indication that this is impacting character release schedules or skins or anything that would really make us worry. They aren't gonna just randomly shut down the game and stop supporting it, you know, worst comes to worst, it's just gonna be maintained at a baseline. I'm personally trying to play this game for decades and I'm very hopeful that's gonna be realistic, as crazy as it may sound. So I do believe the game is gonna be supported for an extremely long amount of time, just like their other titles. And I think the game has a big ceiling, as there's plenty of people who still haven't heard about 2xKO. But you don't have to agree with me on this one. It's partially perspective based, but something you should still know about. So what about a gameplay reason why you might or might not want to get into 2xKO? Well, this game is a tag fighter, and so you're gonna see a massive amount of bullshit and bullshit interactions.
All right.
This game is clearly competitively viable, and the patches have been trending toward the right direction recently, maybe if you don't count Teamfight, but let's face it, an active tag game where you can tag at any point makes for a crazy amount of interactions and wild experiences. Just something simple like trying to anti-air someone who jumped in, except they were blocking and their assist actually hit you, is an example of this. That kind of thing isn't happening in a more stable 1v1 game like Street Fighter or Granblue. And of course, even those games have their BS to them. Basically what I'm saying is, while I do think this wild aspect of the game is going to make it more fun to main long term, and the better you get, the more things will generally make sense, it can be frustrating to feel like you got cheesed, and that's always going to happen. It's just the nature of this kind of game. That's not an excuse for being bad though. It's a reality of the chaos this game creates. That kind of thing isn't for everyone, and not everybody's going to want to be sandwiched into some poon mix-up. But hey, let's also be real, there's two sides to that coin, because pulling off that nasty mix-up or reset or whatever is why people love tag games. Besides also being able to hopefully play two characters you like instead of one, of course. Plenty of people know whether they'll like a tag game or not just by knowing it's a tag game, you know what I'm saying? Next, let's give 2xKO an easy money shot. Naturally, as we stated in the intro, 2xKO is free. So if you have genre familiarity, this is going to be a huge selling point for you. Not so much if you've never played a fighting game. But if you have, the free-to-play aspect is a pretty large incentive to just give this game a shot, because you'll know how to look up or just do a simple bread and butter combo. You'll have some sense of fundies to rely on while giving it a shot. The systems will also likely be pretty familiar to other fighting games, like burst allowing you to break a combo similar to Guilty Gear, or even just something as simple as tagging in a character if you've played other tag games. You'll know a lot quicker if you like the game or not. Probably the best part about being free to play is the fact that the game's characters aren't DLC locked, as you might be familiar with as being the standard for fighting game monetization. Here, you can get every single character for free currency. The skins where you need to pay for. I also want to add the fact that there's not going to be a 2xKO 6. No shade, by the way. A massive flaw in fighting games is that you have to relearn a whole new system and potentially have your main axed from the next upcoming title, and if you're lucky, sold back to you as DLC. That won't be an issue here. And that, to me, and I assume many people, is very valuable. The character you love will always be here to play, with a consistent active player base too. Another reason you should consider playing 2xKO is because of pulls. Players that are new to fighting games or even just 2xKO get very scared of combos as this big mystical puzzle, as if it's like learning an entire song on the piano or something. And for 2xKO, I know people are scared a bit of combo length. Just play Darius. I didn't like doing it either when starting out, and still don't really like learning new combos. I mean, I literally have hundreds of hours in Dragon Ball FighterZ, my first fighting game, just using the universal BMB. But hey, maybe that's too scary too, right? That's why when you go into Champion Select, you can press one button and activate Pulse. Pulse is basically just auto combo. Press one button repeatedly and it'll give you a combo automatically. That way you can focus on just moving around and getting used to your character's moves instead of taking the time to sit down and learn a combo. So don't think piloting multiple characters is this crazy task. You will be alright. For a just negative reason, we've got to be real about team viability. This is a tag game thing. When you play, you want to gather tech, aka see what other people who play your team are doing so you can replicate it. Unfortunately, not every team is popular or even just good enough to have a solid amount of tech out there for them. Sometimes a team is just plain bad. This is the reality of playing a team game. I mean, if you want to play Akali Yasuo right now, good luck, because every person who knows something about the game who's spoken about this team has said they have anti-synergy. So yeah, if you can't accept sometimes you're going to have to make some concessions in either playing a less than optimal team, a team that doesn't have much for you to research, or just have to switch teams to something more viable, then 2XKO might not be for you. Next up, a positive and negative reason, it's got to do with matchmaking. This one's kind of tricky. On one hand, you're definitely going to find a lot more new players in this game since it's still new and it's a decent bit bigger than a lot of other fighting games. But you'll never shake the fact that sometimes you're going to fight someone who's way better than you. I've seen it myself, you know, the odd time where I fight a gold player and I'm just like, okay, that was kind of messed up. So just be mentally prepared that it can happen to you too. Honestly though, I think the rank system, if it does one thing good, it's separating the skill ratings for people of lower skill. If you're fighting someone at your rank at the lower ranks, you can definitely be confident you're probably going to have a solid match. And you should be running into equally skilled opponents quite often aside from the occasional hiccup. I can't 100% speak on the health of the lower elos, but from what I can gather, it should be pretty healthy right now. I'm always seeing people in like chats say stuff like, hey, I'm plat or I'm gold and I play X team. That to me is pretty reassuring. A huge reason for wanting to get into 2XKO would be duos. This game is unique in the fact that you can just bring your friend along and literally just play the game with them, whether it's ranked or casuals. You'll pilot one character and your friend can pilot the other. It's a seriously sick and competitively viable way to play the game. If you're afraid or your friend is afraid of fighting games, or you're just wanting to dip your toes in without too much responsibility, go ahead and queue up with the sidekick fuse. Fuses are selectable options that change how your team interacts with the game. This one allows one player to actually do all the active on-screen character stuff, and the other player to use assists, and reduce damage their friend takes by timing button presses with the opponent's combo. There's even a new fuse called Teamfight where you can both play on the screen at the same time, and it's pretty wild. These are super cool ways to just get into the game without committing too much or have a friend help you learn. As I personally know that when it comes to difficult games like League of Legends, for example, the best way to get into them is just having fun with your friends and having them guide you. There is something I want to wrap up on though for the potential new players watching this video. One of your reasons for not wanting to get into 2XKO might be the feeling of being neutered, while there's all these fighting game mechanics and 2XKO mechanics that you just don't have an understanding for or muscle memory for yet. I'd love to counter this point slightly and say defensively, all you really need to do is use push block and just focus on moving around and then hitting people with your medium button to convert into your combo. Maybe don't even worry about tag launch combos or tagging out and just solely focus on using your assist. There's a lot I could say to try to convince you learning this game or just fighting games isn't hard and that you can take it slow. But at the end of the day, I do get it. It can feel more like a chore, like having to sit down and learn something in a classroom, than actually having fun when you're new. This goes away the more you learn about the game. And if you can shift your mindset and the way you tackle the learning process, or even just how you perceive playing the game. But if you're not willing to go through some resistance for your fun, I understand. I don't honestly think fighting games are for everybody. I don't think anything is for everybody. As much as we in the FGC want as many people playing as possible. Some people just see the early game of being new to fighting games and think too much is stacked against them until they get to the fun part. Or maybe they tried moving around and doing some auto combos and just don't really feel like they're enjoying things. Maybe it's not your cup of tea. I personally tried Path of Exile recently and it just wasn't my cup of tea, but I know some other people love it, and that's totally okay. I implore you to do your best to find the fun or see the vision in this in 2XKO, because this game and this genre is so incredibly cool. Try and keep things simple at first, just get attached to a character that looks cool and find one move, tactic, or simple combo that you just love pulling off. But hey, if you don't see the vision, again, I get it. This gaming community will always be here waiting for you to try again someday. Regardless, I hope this video gave you some knowledge on whether or not 2XKO is worth playing for you. Peace.
Camel toe contest. I'm going to be one of the judges. Ladies, don't miss out on your opportunity to register to win a 2026 Jeep Wrangler in the camel toe contest. I'm going to be one of the judges. We judging on taste, texture, and gripping ability. Don't miss your chance to register. Thank you.
members can share with many others. I thought it was a tragedy. I thought it was lonely. Sometimes I thought it was special. But it's just another right.